Hey Celebration Women, welcome to our series of Table Talks where we're learning and growing together to become godly and strong women. This is for women from all walks and stages of life, so pull up a chair because there's a seat here with your name on it.
Hey everybody, welcome to our second Table Talk, and I'm here again with my daughters-in-law, Jessica and Alicia Vardy. So hope you had a great time last week, hope you got to know some people in the Zoom, you had some great chats, hope it inspired you to keep growing. Make sure you feel free to share this and invite your friends to join. So this whole series is called Keep Growing, and our topic for today is to keep growing in friendship. And one area that we can grow for the rest of our lives is the area of friendship. It's learning how to get and be a good friend. And for myself, I never want to stop learning and growing. The reason why I'm so excited today about this topic is friendship has been one of the greatest blessings of my life. So you girls have any thoughts on friendship?
For sure. For me, it took a lot of time to figure out what that meant for me. There was different seasons where I just felt like I struggled in that area. But I'd say over the last year and a half, 2 years, I really figured that out, had a community, and been able to adjust and figure out what that means to me.
Yeah, I've definitely had seasons like that too, where I felt like I didn't really have those great friends that, you know, the kind that just show up when you didn't even know you needed them, or invite you out to things out of the blue. But even in those hard seasons where I felt a little bit more lonely, I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be the friend that I wished that I had. And I feel like that eventually drew the right people to me. So that's what I would say is be the friend you want to have. And while it might be true that opposites attract, it's also true that like attracts like. And if you're that person that you wish you had in your life, then you'll draw those people to you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I know for me, I think friends just make life more fun.
Yeah.
There are people you can share experiences with, but they're also people that you can share your hurts, your pains, your doubts, and your struggles. And the great thing is that Jesus, in the Word, modeled friendships for us. Jesus, first of all, he had his multitude. So that's all his acquaintances, maybe we can say now they're Facebook friends. So all those people that just sort of followed him. But then he chose 12 to actually be his disciples, to have a closer connection with him. But then he also had 3. Those were his inner circle. They were the closest, most loyal companions. And when he went to the mountain, with the most important event of his life, he just took those 3. But even within that group, he had one that was close to his heart, and that was John. So I would say cultivate all the friends you can. It's great to have acquaintances that you can ski with or cycle with or just have fun with. But then you've got your 12. Those are the ones you invite to your birthday party. Those are the ones that are your inner circle. But then even within that, there's still top 3. And those are the ones that we really do life with. Those are the ones who are really close to. I think we need those super close friends, and they need to be people who are strong in their faith, who I can freely share things with. I can share my deepest struggles, my doubts, my fears, any people issues I'm going through. And because I'm sharing so much of these important things with them, we need to really choose these top 3 friends wisely. So 2 Timothy 2:22 says, "Now flee youthful lusts and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace with those who call upon the Lord from a pure heart." So if you're going to be sharing your heart, these important things with people, if you need direction, it's super important that you choose people who have a strong faith, who are going to give you godly advice, even when it could be tough. They're going to be those who inspire you, first of all, in your relationship with God. Like they'll tell you what they learned from a Sunday message. They'll tell you about a great book or a podcast they've listened to. Their faith is going to encourage your faith and motivate you. So if you're going through personal issues, conflict with people, doubts, fears, maybe marriage issues, things like that, conflict with people, you want someone who's really going to push you towards reconciliation. Because, you know, society has a tendency just to say, you, do what's best for you, but that's not necessarily what God wants. They need to be people who are going to be godly and wise, who are going to call you out if you're going through a conflict with somebody. It's going to be someone who gives you godly advice and not just tell you what you need to hear. And the next thing is, think about, do they have godly character? Do they have good character? So first of all, do they gossip? That's not the best. That's not good. It creates barriers with people. I know one time I had somebody say something negative to me, And when I went to meet that person, they had said something about a person. And then when I went to meet them later on, it was really hard for me not to shake that. When I finally met that person, it really stuck in me. So are they a gossip? The other thing is, are they negative? How do you feel like when you're around them? How do they make you feel when you walk away from them? I know I had a friend whose style of joking was to make fun of me. And whenever I was around them afterwards, I was like, you know what? I don't feel good about myself for being around them. Yeah. So I'm also saying just be intentional. Friends just don't happen. Friends are really a reflection of you, and they say something about you and what kind of person you are. Proverbs 27:19 talks about that. It says, a mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. Notice that the scripture says you choose your friends. It just doesn't happen. And I think that's a misconception that we have about friendship. I think it's just like when we were in the playground. It just happened organically. Some kids in the neighborhood, kids in the playground. But I think as we get older, as we mature, we really need to learn how to be more intentional. We can really choose our friends and be intentional about them. And then the last thing is it really takes work. You have to realize that you have to put in effort to be a good friend. And, sometimes I know for Dennis and I, we feel like it's more like 80-20. We feel like we're doing 80% of the inviting, the asking for coffee, the texting, the reaching out. And we just accepted that that's the way it's going to be. It's just, that's just part of life. So don't give up if you feel like you're the only one reaching out. Yeah. Now, you were going to talk about something else too, a misconception on friendship.
Yeah, I think another misconception in friendship is that we have to, especially as women, have this one best friend who is sort of the be-all, end-all of our friendships in our world. And I just don't think that's true. I think that we can have friends from all different areas of our life, and that's a really healthy thing. I love how you described Jesus and his circle. He had his really close 3. He had his 12 disciples around him. And in our lives, we can have, those close friends who are our confidant that we go to when we have to tell them something really important or work through something. And they can be that shoulder to cry on. But we can also have friends that are just lighthearted and really fun to be around. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think we have to think that every friend has to be everything to us. We can have friends that we go and do activities with, do hobbies with, because we enjoy the same things. And that's enough to be a great friend to each other. And so I think it's a really healthy thing that we invite friends into our lives that are kind of all these different, purposes, in our world, and it doesn't have to be the pressure of all of that on one person.
Yeah. And I like that too. One thing I've heard someone say is, don't go around saying, this is my best friend. And I know I was in a situation with a friend and who I considered a really, really close friend. And then I started to say, well, my best friend. And I was like, oh, it didn't feel right. You could just sort of feel like it was kind of comparing. So just be careful about that too. Don't go around, this is my best friend, because friends change in life. And like you're saying, friends for different seasons, different reasons. So, and then the next thing is really being intentional, not just about choosing a good friend, but we really need to learn how to be a good friend, how to be a friend. And I know a lot of times we've heard this, people complain about the lack of relationships, and they say, well, people aren't friendly in this neighborhood, or people aren't friendly in this church, or they're not friendly in my workplace. But we really need to look at our own efforts. Yeah. We need to ask ourselves, what kind of friend are you? Yeah. Have you called somebody lately? Have you brought coffee to somebody or invited them for coffee? What steps have you taken to be friendly and supportive? So reach out. And like I said before, don't give up. If someone doesn't message you back right away, don't be offended about it. I know for me, what happened to me is someone was messaged me this week, and I was looking back, and I had the last message she sent me was in 2014, this nice long asking a question, and I completely missed it. So yeah, don't give up. So that happens. Sometimes we just miss the messages. So give people the benefit of the doubt. Keep trying. Just keep being that friend. I know this is kind of corny, but the corniest things are memorable. The best vitamin for making friends is B1. Get it? Do I need to say that one again? B1, that's whatever. So learn how to be a good communicator. That's the last thing, is really learn how to be a good communicator in friendship. So be affirming. Tell them how much you appreciate them. Check in often. Don't be so cool. Like, I don't want to text back too quickly or look like I'm needy, but don't be cool. Like, text back promptly. My best friends that I have text me back. They send me pictures. They keep up the communication. They say, Happy Mother's Day. And I was thinking about this, back in the day, people used to send letters. Like, you see the old movies, and people sent letters to each other and expressed love and appreciation. They'd say, thinking of you, such a great friend. They said all these things in letters. Now, we don't send letters really that much anymore. Most people don't. But today, our modern equivalent is texts and messages. Right. And sometimes I've thought in the past, well, maybe that's impersonal. But I've really seen that there are modern day way of sending letters. Yeah. It's our modern day way of communicating our relationship with people and how important they are to us. It's amazing how these messages can be little points of communication throughout the day. Mm-hmm. So, be warm in your communication. If you're thinking about somebody, you're valuing their friendship, then just say that. I'm thinking of you. You're such an awesome friend. I have a friend who's really good at this. She's always like, I love you, and little XX and things like that. Like, she just has this warmth in her communication, and it really comes through and makes you feel valued. Mm-hmm. And this takes a lot of discipline. If you're thinking of a person, message them. So I was thinking of a person the other day, and I just said, hey, I'm so looking forward to, I'm dreaming the day we can actually go to a cafe again, or we can do lunch together, or we can go for coffee together. So just say that. Like, don't just think of it, oh, it'd be great to spend time with this friend, but just say, I can't wait till we can do that again. And if you think lovely things about the friends, like sometimes you'll be thinking about somebody and just like, man, what a good friend they are. Well, then send them that text. Or if you're just sort of thinking like, wow, I learned something from this friend, or what a great mom they are, or man, they're so creative. You're thinking something great about them, then say that. Proverbs 19:22 says, kindness makes a man attractive. Well, I guess that man or a woman attractive. So that kindness really makes you appealing as a friend. Make sure to appreciate others. Tell them what you see in them. Compliment the good. Comment on their strengths. Tell them how that they've helped you. They've helped others. Don't just keep that to yourself. And then the last thing is just be a great listener. That's such an important part of friendship. Be a great listener. I always say, like, monitor how much you talk versus how much you draw them out. Mm-hmm. Ask them questions. Listen to them. I mean, that's the greatest thing. People love to be listened to. Everyone wants to be a friend of someone who makes them feel needed, special, and worthwhile. And the Bible says a few other things about friendship as well. The Bible says, rejoice with those who rejoice. So what does that mean? It really means be a cheerleader. Celebrate their successes. Be the first to congratulate them. Send them birthday cards. You can do simple things like Starbucks gift cards, just a small one. Those little things really say that you appreciate them. But then the other really, really important thing we want to talk about is be with them in the tough times. And I think this is even more important. Proverbs 18:24 says, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend loves at all times, but a brother is born for adversity. So that's really what a good friend is about. It's those times of adversity, those times where you really need them. A lot of people have a lot of acquaintances and refer to them as friends. But a friend, it says in the Bible, is someone who sticks with you, who's committed to you. They're with you through the bad times and the good times. So not just the good times, not just the fair weather friends, but they're the ones who are with you in the tough times, right, when things are harder. Good friends, true friends, are there through the storms of life as well as the sunny days. So how to be a true loyal friend? First of all, I would say be very intentional when someone's going through something tough. And I would say show up. I had a friend recently who lost a family member. And, it's really hard. What do you say? What do you do? You just didn't feel like there was enough that you could do. But what we did instead is we just showed up. We just showed up with flowers. We just showed up. We didn't know what to say. It was awkward. I mean, really, you can't say anything. We just showed up. Try not to fix it. But showing up just said volumes. Right. I know for me also 10 years ago when I broke my foot, 2 girls just did something really simple. They showed up at my doorstep with my favorite drink, a Starbucks chai latte. And the most important thing about that is I live out in the country. So having them show up at my door was really a surprise. And 10 years later, I've never forgotten that. So just remember to show up. Show up by sending them flowers. show up with a meal, show up to babysit, or even just take their kids to school. So just show up when people are going through something tough. So have you guys gone through anything like that? People helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. After my dad died, I was in a lot of shock. It had been a really long season of grief as I lost all 3 of my grandparents and then my dad in the span of 7 months. Wow. And so that was a big deal. That was a really hard year. And the friends that I appreciated the most and who stood out to me were the ones who didn't just say, let me know if I can do anything to help, but who just, like you said, just showed up, with a meal or with coffee or just for a hug and a visit because their presence really meant the most. And, I heard this recently, the greater the loss, the fewer the words. And that really has stuck with me because there's nothing you can say when somebody's going through something really hard like that. But being there is so important. And that meant so much to me when friends would just show up and just be there. Or, now when going through hard times, I didn't have my kids back then, but having them now, just showing up so I can take a nap, like taking the kids means so much. And so now I try to be that kind of friend too, instead of just saying, let me know if I can help, there's always something you can do, I feel. So giving options or prompts that are, can I buy you groceries? Can I bring you a meal? Can I take your kids so you can nap? Those kind of things give them the chance to say yes without putting it back in their hands to come up with something. Because when you're in shock or you're in grief or just going through something difficult, it's really hard to know what you even need or what would be helpful.
Yeah, that's good. So true. Very good.
To be honest, for me, it has changed as I matured and gotten older. I feel like I've learned more about my specific needs from a good friend. I feel like everyone will have a different expectation or standard or hope for a friend since everyone is so different. In my case, the good friends ask me questions, are okay with being uncomfortable in asking questions and being honest with me. It's having in-depth conversations where we talk about what we're really going through and not just surface level. I've struggled with fertility, and when my friends check in and when they know we have important dates coming up or test results coming in, that means the world to me.
Oh, that's so good. I think that's, we're talking about the tough times. I think just something really practical that I've done is remembering the hard anniversaries. So what I've done to remember that is I put a reminder in my phone. So I had a friend whose daughter passed away a few years ago, and the first anniversary, it came up on my phone. So I remembered to get her a gift, that first anniversary. And it comes up every year now, ever since. So I'll send a text like, thinking of you, or I'll just be sensitive that day. It's not a day that, that I'm just going to talk about whatever, but I'm just sort of sensitive and maybe bring it up or talk about it. So just put some of those hard anniversaries in your phone and just remember those dates. That just means so much to people that you remember that. And like we were saying before, sometimes we just don't know what to do, so we don't do anything at all. But I know that these things meant a lot for me. When I broke my back, it was those little things. People saying, we're praying for you. And then the practical stuff, well, that meant so much. So the meals, I still remember some of the meals that people brought me. I know my husband can cook. Yes, he is capable, but it just gave him the freedom to help me. And plus he messes up the kitchen, so then I'd have to lie on the couch and look at it. But just having those meals, those practical things just meant the world to me. So today my desire is that we'll learn how to grow in friendship, that we will grow. This is just something I want to learn for the rest of my life. I want to learn how to be a better friend. And I love all these ideas. I'm always looking for ideas. I see what other people do on Instagram. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do that. So I'm always looking for ideas all the time on how to be a better friend. And to summarize too, don't focus on getting friends, but being a good friend. You focus on not just focus on choosing the right kind of friends, but be that friend. Choosing the right kind of friends, having healthy relationships, and then focus lastly on becoming a good friend. That's good. So what are some of the ways that you girls have learned to be good friends?
I would say learning how to be a good friend meant finding out what that meant for each friend I am close to. So one of my friends needs quality time and she could care less about anything else. Another of my friends loves to run with her hypothetical renovations, something she bought that was a crazy sale. Another friend needs check-ins and tea drop-offs. She also needs me to tell her what is going on in my life, because when I am open and honest with her, then she feels like I care about her and want her to be a part of my life. For friendships, to me, it is learning what is good for them and what they need, checking in, being there for them in their tough times and their good times. Sometimes you can stand in faith for them when they feel run down, or when you can encourage your friends that they are better and worth more. A huge part for me has always been learning that we cannot be close to or even good friends with everyone, that we will be spread too thin, and then my family and other priorities would also be taken away from that. There's a balance, and I feel like it has been amazing having that community and balance, and that's kind of what you talked about with the disciples and John and having that focused.
Yeah.
For myself, a few qualities that I've tried to be as a friend to others is, one, being steadfast, being someone who doesn't waver when the other person maybe makes a choice that I don't agree with, or goes a long time without talking, or we can't hang out for a long time in between, which is kind of the case for all of us right now. But just being that, rock in the friendship, or like you had said earlier, being the 80-20%, right? Sometimes you feel like you're the one always reaching out or always putting in the effort. And to me, that's, steadfastness. That's being the person that's kind of always ready to be a friend. And so that's something I try to be for the friends in my life. Another one is being trustworthy, not being worried that the other person's going to possibly go gossip about what you just said, or just be telling other people things that were meant to be private. And so it's just knowing that, that they're not going to spread that when you just wanted to be close to that one person. So that's something that I try to do too. And then we've talked about it a few times now, but on like checking in on a regular basis is such an important quality of a good friend. And so I try to remember that, as I think of my friends just randomly throughout the day or throughout my week, that I do say it, and I do check in and see how they're doing, mentally, or just if they need anything from me, or just if they need prayer for anything. So it's one of the most important things, I think, about keeping the friendship going, especially right now where we can't be together physically all the time. It's so important that we're just always staying in communication and checking in.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I hope you've learned some great things about friendship. I know how I have today. I just love this topic so much. And so you know what, that's it from us. That's all from us. But we hope you've got some really helpful advice today. And our prayer is that you will experience the blessings of friendship. See you next week.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you found it encouraging, uplifting, and helpful. We'd love to invite you to be a part of our Sunday services online, wherever you might be tuning in from. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you here next time.